Today we're going to go through all 4 of the brand new Ruination legendary Pokemon in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and find out which of the 4 is the strongest of them all. The first one to look at is Chien-Pao, the one that's been absolutely scaring everybody since Scarlet and Violet is released, with the mon that essentially basically has a 197 special attack stat after everything from Beads of Ruin and Beneficial Natures. This thing is insane. 135 flat without Beads of Ruin is already ridiculous, with a 100 base speed stat as well too. And 120 SPDF means that this thing will at least live 1 hit on a special side depending on what it is and who it's from. With an immunity to Psychic as well too, Fire Dark offensively is honestly phenomenal. And especially, I say the famous quote all the time, if you're a fire Pokemon and you have a really good speed stat, you will be scary, because fire is really not all that without a good speed stat. Chien-Pao has just been destroying the ladder lately, and this mon is incredibly terrifying, with insane move coverage like Dark Pulse, Overheat, Flamethrower, Fire Blast, and it does also get Willow as well too to just straight up negate a mon. This thing is insane. Not to mention it gets great support moves like Taunt and Memento as well too. You want to decrease your enemy's stats, but I think Mementoing on this mon is a little insane. It does also get Psychic as well too, which is phenomenal. So this guy really does it all. There's even some cool quirky sets where people do Willow and then click Hex immediately with the Terra Ghost, and this thing is really scary. Not to mention what's even scary as well too is this mon does actually get Nasty Plot. I don't know why it gets Nasty Plot. After everything that we've seen this thing do and everything I've talked about, this mon getting Nasty Plot is even more scary than I imagined. At a plus beneficial nature speed, this mon sits at 328, which does creep all the mons above, you know, that 97 weird speed stat, so it's phenomenal on that. Not to mention it's well too, with its insane special attack stat clocking out at 197 after Beads of Ruin. Essentially, that makes this thing the hardest hitting special attack mon in all of Scarlet and Violet. On my screen right now are all the upcoming mons that'll be showing into the game post-home. Dialga Origin, Hoopa Unbound, Calyrex Shadow Rider, and these are pre-nerfs. These are pre-nerfs. So if they want to nerf mons at home, go on, but these are pre-nerfs, meaning that this thing basically clocks out at 197, and the next highest afterwards is a 170 with Hoopa Unbound. And if you want to go even to more semantics, the highest special attacking mon that exists in the game that's at least just acknowledged is a Mega Mewtwo Y. And a Mega Mewtwo Y sits at 194, and it's locked in for an item. Chien-Pao has 3 points higher at 197, can lock in any item it wants, and can also boost itself with Nasty Plot. This mon is insane. Why Game Freak decided to make a mon like this, I don't know, but when they speak on these mons being pure evil incarnate, I completely understand. Even in its Violet deck description, when it states that it sparked multiple conflicts, I completely understand how it did. The next mon, Ting-Lu, has been phenomenal in the current metagame right now. This mon is really tanky and easily the best wall of the 4 with insane movesets. Stats like these are phenomenal. He's just at 155 HP, which is insane, with a 125 defense and 80 SPDF, which may not seem much, but tied in with that HP stat is insane. They all do share a similar ability of Blank of Ruin, and they all have their own capabilities on benefiting them. Ting-Lu does the opposite on the defense side, where he essentially lowers the special attack of all Pokemon except himself. So not only is that 80, while it might seem underwhelming for those on the naked untrained eye, with a 155 HP stat, that 80 is basically increased by 25% because you're dropping the enemy special attack stats. And Dark Ground is honestly a not bad typing. It's a similar typing as Crocodile, and that mon is also phenomenal both offensively and defensively. Being immune to Electric and Psychic is insane too. 2 really strong immunities, we love to see it. And its move pool coverage is honestly really good as well too. It gets moves like Whirlwind, Spikes, Stomping Tantrum, Rock Slide and Earthquake for chip damage as well too. And it does get the signature body press, which is phenomenal. Not to mention it also does get Taunt. So this mon really just does it all. Getting as much hazards as it does with phasing moves like Whirlwind and solid support moves like Taunt, this mon is actually really, really good. From every mon that exists right now and even upcoming mons, Ting-Lu is in the top 6 for the highest HP stat in the entire game. In the entire game. This also includes every mon that's going to be showing up in home come February. So this mon is very, very tanky. What's scary as well too, there's been this dangerous build of Ting-Lu that's been running around lately, where people basically slap Choice Band on this mon. Because it's so tanky, you can actually invest in that 110 attack stat, and you could just clock in at a Choice Banded Earthquake, and this thing is going to hit for a tremendous amount of damage. I've seen this thing go crazy. I've seen the thing do some things that I'm terrified to even say out loud. This mon is scary. Chien-Pao has also been running around lately as the brand new and adorable leopard Pokemon of the Ruinous Quartets. He has a similar ability like the previous two, where essentially he drops the enemy's physical defense instead of special defense. So Chi-Yu, but on the physical side. The thing that does hold this mon back a little bit though is that it's an ice type. While you can terrestrialize, ice type is fundamentally weaker on the defensive side at least. But on the bright side, you don't have to worry about that much because the speed stat is insane. Sitting at a 135 speed stat, the thing outpaces almost everything in the metagame. 120 attack stat as well too. Not to mention it's a little bit misleading because of the Swords of Ruin. The thing is also incredibly roided off the increase, off the drop in the physical defense. This mon is ridiculous, man. He's really just insane. For whatever reason, Game Freak felt the need to also give this mon a 90 special attack stat. So I've not seen anyone use that, as its ability only drops physical defense. So I don't really see the need to do that. If you want to be quirky, you can. It also has an immunity to Psychic, as it is a Dark type, which is phenomenal. Psychic types have big threats, so that's awesome. While a lot of them do get Dazzling Gleam, it's still phenomenal. You can just straight up delete an entire stab move right there. He has also get some phenomenal moves. He gets Sucker Punch, Sacred Sword, Icicle Crash, Night Slash. He even gets SD as well too as a boosting move. Ice Shard for priority, same with Sucker Punch. It does get access to Psychic Effect as well too. And with a base 135 speed stat, it's actually phenomenal as a taunt mon, as it is really fast. So that actually is viable if you wanted to do that. Not to mention as well too, he does get the brand new move Ice Spinner, which does completely remove all terrains on the field, and Crunch. So the mon is really just fire like that. If you essentially give Chien-Pao a choice band, this mon basically right now and everything that's available and upcoming has the highest physical attack stat in the game. It's just insane how these 4 new mons have some of the most record-breaking stats we've seen in a long time. Championing and going up against mons like Calyrex Ice, Palafine Hero, and Slacking, not to mention Hoopla Abound, Chien-Pao hits for scary damage. Can't forget about Wo-Chien, the last of the 4 versions of the Ruinous Pokemon. This mon honestly low-key is easily the most underwhelming of the 4. Unfortunately, Game Freak does not like grass types, as they always just slap in a really awful typing lately. Hisuian Decidueye, for example, getting that fighting type being slow. Now, Wo-Chien also getting the dark type. Can't forget as well, too, the OG who did it first, Tapu Bulu, getting no good supportive moves for his typings. While the thing does have phenomenal stats at an 85 HP stat, 100 in defense, and a whopping 135 in speed def, I completely understand how on paper people would think this mon is a big threat. Its stats are insane, and it honestly has a solid speed stat. For a mon this bulky, they're rarely ever this fast. So to have a 70 base speed stat is honestly not that bad. Does help you outpace enemy walls. This mon does have the opposite ability of Ting-Lu though, where it drops the physical attack of all enemy Pokemon except itself. So essentially that defense at 100 actually gets boosted from the ability, which is just insane. All of their abilities you have gotten now do boost their stats in some way, shape, and form, both offensively and defensively, which is phenomenal. But the drawback of this mon, though, is that unfortunately, because it is a dark grass, it is weak to many things in the game. It is weak to fire, ice, fighting, poison, flying, at times weak to bug, and weak to fairy. Being weak to fairy will always be the biggest one, as it is a dark type. Fairy is phenomenal right now. He's one of the best, if not the best typing in the game. Something weak to that just really sucks. And it just, you know, feels kind of underwhelming that this mon doesn't do much per se. It does give good access moves though. It gets Leech Seed, Growth for setup, Stun Spore, Poison Powder, Knockoff, Power Whip, Foul Play, Giga Drain, Dark Pulse. It does get access to both screens as well too, and Body Press, which is phenomenal. It gets Pollen Puff as well too. So it does get access to some decent moves, but at the end of the day, this mon does just feel underwhelming because it just doesn't really have a place in the current metagame and can't keep up with the other 3. Out of everything that's upcoming though, just strictly based off its raw SPDF with no boost, as a boost for its ability does only buff to physical defense, this mon is in the top 15 for one of the highest special defenses in the game, on the same caliber as mons like Cryogonal and Blissey. Unfortunately, does not have the exact same HP stat, but again, this mon just doesn't really feel like he has a place in the current metagame. He's even performing kind of poor lately, and sadly, Dark Grass is a very poor typing defensively, and this mon is essentially a defensive mon. Good examples of mons that actually been solid as the Dark Grass is Zarude. While Zarude isn't the world's most amazing mon, his Dark Grass is purely based on an offense stance, and with a 120 attack and a 105 speed stat, which does speed tier mons over 100 base, this thing actually doesn't do that bad in terms of where it was at. Obviously, of course, if it got a few other moves, it'd be a lot better. but it does perform a lot better than example at Wo-Chien. Even Mons as well too, like Shiftry. Shiftry does have a boosting ability with chlorophyll. So this mon also could just be able to have some sort of niche and ability to use within the metagame. Sadly, of course, Wo-Chien is built to be a pure defensive mon, and its stats are phenomenal. Like I said, again, it's just really unfortunate that it is a dark grass type, and it just really can't hold its own with that typing. Sadly, though, I'm going to have to put Wo-Chien personally as the worst of the 4 on this list. I do think it falls flat like crazy, and it's been performing very poorly lately in the metagame. This could obviously change when the home drops, see where it stands, but I honestly, though, I think it's only going to be dropping even more, and I can't see this mon rising. Maybe some move buffs or whatever. I don't know. It just sucks. Ting-Lu, I'm going to have to say, is the 3rd best of the next ones upcoming. That doesn't actually mean much though, because he still is incredibly phenomenal and a top tier threat. The mon is phenomenal in both offense and defense and a roided HP stat. This is exactly how you make a mon that looks amazing, badass backstory, and phenomenal in every aspect that he's in. Obviously, of course, he has his weaknesses, but it is extremely rare for this mon to essentially take exceeded amount of damage. Even when you hit the thing with super effective move, it essentially basically takes like 30% from super effective moves, from stab, super effective from enemy mons. The thing is incredibly bulky. If it's not obvious, Chien-Pao is easy number 2. He is very strong and arguably broken when he first dropped. Obviously, there are ways to beat him now, like mons like Corviknight, but if you set up a Swords Dance, this thing will just be able to knock out anything that's across from it. It ignores resistances basically after an SD or a choice band, and this mon sometimes feels unfair, but he's very, very strong when it comes to revenge killing and that late game cleanup sweep. If it's not obvious though, Chi was easily the best on this list and easily one of, if not the best Pokemon that Scarlet and Violet has dropped. This thing is just insane. It ignores resistances in every way, shape, and form. You can look at its resistances as well too. It has solid resistances, so it basically helps out in a way for not the thing to get one shot. And it's just ridiculous as you can run the thing in multiple ways that are so straightforward and so obvious and predictable, but it doesn't necessarily matter because the mon just hits so hard. Choice Scarf, Choice Specs, Life Orb Nasty, Terra Blast, Fairy. It doesn't necessarily matter. This mon does whatever it wants to do. All in all, guys, Chi-Yu is just ridiculous, and I'm absolutely love this mon to death. It's probably going to get banned. I could definitely see that. But when it's allowed in VGC, especially where it can't get banned, this thing will be on over 80% teams, I promise you. Thank you for watching, though. I very much appreciate it, guys. If you want to see more videos and you enjoyed it, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you for supporting my channel. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.